Good evening, everybody. Steve Burton here, your host for Money School Business Owner Edition. I'm a financial advisor based out of Virginia. Perhaps you were invited on the call by myself or one of my teammates across the country. We run an outfit, a group called Scale to Sell. We help businesses grow their business, protect the value of the business. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight, and eventually help you exit on your own terms, exit the business on your own terms. We're going to talk about the 5Ds, what we call the 5Ds, the things that can disrupt your business. Everything could be going along just fine, and all of a sudden one of these things pops up and they're out of the blue and can derail your business, make it less valuable and harder to sell, and exit the business at some point in time. I would encourage you to check us out at scale2sell.com. Sign up for our podcast. Check out our business builder tips that we put out on an ongoing basis that can help you grow your business. You need to start taking time, and many of you do, but more and more of you should take time to work on your business and not just in your business. So anyway, let's get started. When we get done tonight, give you an opportunity to get on our calendar. One, you should always know the value of your business, and we can get that valuation to you free of charge by one of our teammates that is very credentialed, well experienced, over 20 years in the industry, and get that free opinion of value. But in the meantime, what are those things? What are the 5Ds? That'll be easy to remember as we go forward and why it matters to you. There's a 50% chance. Studies have shown there's a 50% chance you'll experience at least one of these 5 business disruptions in your life. Everything's going along fine, and now out of the blue, something happens that you did not expect and can decrease the value of the business. In some cases, cause the business to go out of business, make it less valuable. And if you've heard us say it before, most business owners, 80% of their net worth is tied up in their business. It's another reason that you want to protect yourself. Protecting yourself against these 5 things will increase the value of your business, make it more manageable while you're there, allowing you to have a better life. Protect that asset upon your exit at some point in time, whether it's an internal exit or whether it's an external exit. We'll talk about that. Death is never an easy one to talk about, but things happen. I don't care how healthy we are, something can be happening. I can give you story after story of something was going along and all of a sudden a death. Now, it could be the death of the owner in this conversation. It could be the death of a key employee, and anything that would disrupt that business. Now, if you have a partner in your business, what happens if you or your partner dies? Do you have protections against that? And so some of those things we're going to go back to and talk about these things in some scale, whatever. Disability, your own, something happens, you fall off a ladder, get hurt on the job, maybe out skiing or doing some other outside recreational activity, and you become disabled, or heart attack or stroke or something. Again, protect your business. If you're the main driver of the business or there's a key employee, it's very, very important to protect. Divorce. Perhaps your own, again, if you have a partner, it's not just the chance that you'll go through a divorce and could disrupt your business. It can also be a partner. What happens to the business if now you're in business with them and you have courts telling you what to do about the assets, and how's that going to play out? Protect yourself there. Distress in what? You have a key client. Maybe you have some large clients and you lose 1 or 2 of them. That could cause them distress. How about something like COVID? How about like something like too much growth or not enough of it? Distress, whatever can cause a distress in the business that loses value in the business, disrupts your income, brings down the value, and hurts you financially in the long run. And then a disagreement. Can be a disagreement with a client, can be a disagreement with somebody, an employee, can be the government coming after you, all these things that you want to take and plan on. Having the right plan, I'm going to go back through those in a minute, but having the right plan reduces the risk, reduces your risk, right? Anytime you can mitigate risk. As a financial advisor, when people come in to see us as they're approaching retirement, we start taking risk off the table. People think about market risk. Well, that's a risk, but there's other things in retirement that can be a risk. That can be, they take out too much money out of their investment. So a market crash is really not a thing, but they just withdraw too much money. They didn't have the right plan. Long-term care costs. There's all kinds of things. A market crash, that goes back to the market market part of it, but there's all kinds of things that can disrupt it, and mitigating risk will help improve the value of your business. Make sure that if you go to get loans to grow your business, or because you need one for whatever reason, it reduces risk, makes you more attractive to the outside market, attractive inside the business, outside the business. It increases your profitability. When you take these risks off the table, losing a key employee, not just from a disability standpoint, you could lose a key employee and they go down the street and work for somebody else. That's a risk too, right there. But increases your profitability. It adds value. People sometimes equate profitability. Well, I'm really profitable. That doesn't mean your business is valuable. It doesn't mean your business, you can take it to market. We've had any number of businesses that were producing a good revenue for the employer, the owner of the business, but they really didn't have systems and processes in place that were transferable to either their kids or to an outside third party, right? You can be doing $100 million a year and not have any market value or little market value because of systems and things in place right there. But adding value to your business, anytime you reduce risk, you increase the value of the business. Define your succession plans. People, especially as you get older, you go, hey, well, much longer you going to be doing this? And even if you're younger, typically we equate that. Think about it when it becomes people get in their 60s and 70s, of course, and some owners will stay on even longer than that. But what happens when you're younger if you get hurt in an accident? I know a number of people have had aneurysms, heart attacks, strokes. Sometimes it's taking them out of the workforce for a while. What's going to happen to the business? What happens if you can never go back? What is your succession plan? What if you don't have a plan in place? Why don't you have a contingency plan in place and something happens, and because you're not there to run things, all of a sudden that business falls off the tracks, that your employees aren't as good as handling client situations, acquiring new clients, keeping the current ones happy, or other financial challenges the business might face, and all of a sudden your business starts to lose value, loses clients, loses employees, and it could fall apart. What is your succession plan if something were to happen to you? If a lot of your businesses, your value of your own net worth is tied up in the value of that business, and what happens to your family? What happens to the family if you're not around anymore? Can they run the business? Is the business marketable? I just talked about all that. Protecting your legacy. There's so many stories of people that have done this right, succession planning. It's kind of like you get these plans in place, then you get the basis of it out, and then every so often, every few years, things will come and change in your life, and you tweak them out. But it just protects the value of your business, and it de-risks your business by doing all this. Let me back up and go back to these talking points. Let me go back to the death thing. It doesn't have to be the owner. I've had a number of people that have had a key employee within the company that died. Car accidents, other situations, health issues. As I mentioned, people think about heart attacks and strokes for those who are older, and I got it. The longer you live, the increased odds that something health-wise will interrupt or take you off the planet. But sometimes it's not an accident. Sometimes it's something else. What happens to your business if your operations manager, perhaps a CFO, general manager, maybe it's your kids? What happens even if they're in their 20s, 30s, maybe 40s, and they seem healthy, but if something happens to them? You have a plan in place. Things like life insurance can be put in place, key man insurance, key person insurance to protect the business. And for pennies on the dollar, you can now have a chunk of money to go back and replace that employee with somebody else. Have the money, the resources to go out and hire one or two or three people. Sometimes if you lose one employee, you need to hire two or three just to replace them. So the death of yourself, do you have enough life insurance? What's the value of your business? And again, we can do that for you at scaletosell.com/discovery. Get that free opinion of value. So if your net worth is $10 million and you have $1 million in life insurance, and let's say that something happens to you, can your family run the business? Perhaps yes, maybe better than you, but many cases no. Do you want them to have to do that? Do you want your wife or your spouse to have to jump in there and run the business? And so you buy enough life insurance. You buy enough life insurance to make sure that if something happens to you, that the business either use money to hire and bring on somebody, two or three, five people to replace you, or they take the money, sell the business for what they can, and move on about the same. So it's making sure you have adequate life insurance. Your partners have adequate life insurance. Buy-sell agreements and all that is something that happens to you or the partner. Let's use that example, my $10 million example. Let's say we have a business owner and they have a partner. And back in the day, they set up a buy-sell agreement, and the business at the time was only worth $1 million, maybe 2 million, maybe 5. All right. And so if it's worth $5 million, each of the owners took out a life insurance policy for $2.5 million. And that way they had a buy-sell agreement. So that if something happened to one of the partners, they exercised the death benefit from that, paid out the widow or widower of their partner, and they took, and now they own 100% of the business. And that way they didn't have to go out, take out loans, take on financial hardships for pennies on the dollar. But even if you have that, my example was now the business is worth $10 million. Have you updated the buy-sell agreements? What happens if one of the partners dies or a key employee, as I mentioned? So anyway, just some further thoughts about that one. The disability thing. There's disability insurance out there that you can buy, but depending on your income, a lot of times you're not going to be able to get enough disability insurance to recoup your income, replace your income if something were to happen to you in whatever form or fashion it does. You can't work anymore. You're not mentally able. You're not physically able. What happens to the business? Or what happens if it's one of your key employees? The disability, we think about things as they're going along, and mostly we have people that call in sick with a flu or something's going on. They're out for a few days. But what happens if they're out for an extended period of time? You have processes and people in place that can overcome that. Sometimes it's a challenge, and even if you can, sometimes it disrupts the business, costs you money, sometimes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in some cases could cause you to lose work, maybe a contract or whatever it might be. The divorce is a big thing. With half the marriages in this country, ending in divorce. And anymore, it doesn't even really have to be a divorce. You don't even have to be married where this could impact. If you had a long-standing relationship, I'm not an attorney. I've got many of them on our team, but from M&A attorneys, we have trust attorneys, we've got corporate attorneys, we've got all kinds of people that we have access to. But divorce, what happens to the business if it's a long-term relationship? You never thought in a million years that the marriage would end up in divorce. What are the courts going to say? They're going to divide the assets up evenly. Now you're going through a fractured relationship right there and sometimes not a great breakup, of course. And now you're going through a divorce, or as I mentioned earlier, a divorce of your business partner or business partners. If there's multiple ones, what happens to the business if there's a divorce? It weighs on the performance of the owner. It can split up assets. Now you got another partner you hadn't counted on, and all kinds of things. Do we have plans in place to overcome that? The distress can come in so many forms or fashions, right? The stress of losing clients, stress of not being able to find key employees. There's so many distresses that can come about, but we have a team. Excuse me. We have a team of people that can help you, and it sounds like it can be expensive. It's not really. It's just having a plan. These things are about having a plan of action to cover these things. And we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. But what can distress your business? You've grown too much, right? And now you can't find financing. You don't have the capital to move ahead. Right. So distress is in your business. I've had business owners that will get to sell the business. And Jeff Snell, our M&A expert, just told me recently about an owner that he's had that was going to sell their business 13 years ago and still can't get it sold. I've had other owners more recently were going to sell their business, and a distress in their business caused their sales to go down by a considerable amount, and they're trying to rebound and recover. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's a short-term blip in the business, and other times it's something more prolonged, and now we can't sell the business. If you've been on here for any length of time, join us on our podcast or listen to any of the content we've got, that in many situations, Only about 20 to 30% of businesses, if you look at all the businesses that go to market every year, only about 20 to 30% successfully sell. I mean, 70 to 80% don't. And distress can be the same. Something that happened in there. We're going to market, we're ready to go to market, we're burnt out, and now the numbers are down. They're in a negative situation where the business was worth X in the past. Now it's not worth that much. And because the owners haven't done a number of other things to prepare, now they're stuck. Now they have to keep working, and hopefully the business will recover from that. Make sure that you're protected from distresses, and there's a number of those things we can talk about. The disagreement thing, are you protected against lawsuits? You have corporate, I personally believe, although that I'm not an attorney, I really believe in hiring a good corporate attorney. We have those on our team that can talk to you, making sure that your assets are protected against disagreements, personal assets from your corporate assets. There's all kinds of things anymore with it. We're kind of living that situation. If you ever been at home at noontime during the day, perhaps you had a day off and you're watching TV, you got flipping through the noonday news. Every other commercial is about a lawyer wanting somebody to sue somebody about something. So it doesn't have to be a legal thing. It could be a disagreement, again, in your business between partners. What happens in the business if everything was going along fine, you've had a great working relationship, and now something's changed? What has changed, right? One partner wants to sell and just go away. They have an opportunity to sell out to a third party, and the other one doesn't want to sell. And then it gets to be a drain. There's so many examples of all these that I can go into example after example, but this is just to paint a picture to give you that situation. Make sure the reason to do this, you reduce the risk to your business, your largest asset, your income source. It reduces the risk. It increases the profitability. And the things that we talk about with employees, keeping key employees around. If you retain quality employees, they're so hard to come from. It increases profitability. It increases the market value of your business. Market value is kind of like the value of your house, right? It doesn't really matter until you exit the business. It's good to be a benchmark to measure and to know that you're growing. If your sales were, whatever, 1 year $1 million, and the next year they're $1.5 million or $2 million, and you go back and look at your valuation, are we making money? Our sales have went up, but as our value of our business went up, or what are we doing to expand? You need to do both. You really need to de-risk. You need to be building additional profitability. You want your sales growing, but you really need to look at your opinion of value, the value of the business on an annual basis. That's a true metric of really what the marketplace talks about your business and added value. So we're going to add value to you. Define the succession plans. What happens to the business if something happens to me? Here's what's going to happen. Boom, boom, boom. We lay it out in a plan of action. Everybody knows what it is. It gives your clients, especially as you age, it gives your clients, especially if you're trying to win large clients, it gives them an idea that there's a team. Hey, they've got something going on, so that if Joe or Jane, whoever the owners of the company are, if something happens to them, then my business, I can still keep doing business with them and count on them. And then protect your legacy. We worked hard, we sacrificed. Many of us do this not only for us, we create a great lifestyle, income perhaps, and then at some point in time, we either want to sell the business and go down the road and do something else, or if we want to hand it off to the next generation, or in that unexpected something happens to you, then you want to make sure that your family's taken care of, and you don't want your business to fall by the wayside. You put years, decades even in protecting and growing it. You want to make sure that you protect that. So the 5 Ds, eliminate or greatly reduce the 5 Ds, the things that can harm the value and profitability of your business and give you peace of mind for the long haul. And this is very important. If you want to go into more details, you want to make sure, take out your phones right now. Get on our calendar, schedule a 15-minute phone call. Go right there to scaletosell.com/discovery. And our teammate, Jeff Snell, he will do for you a free valuation. Jeff needs the trailing 12 months of a P&L statement, occasionally a couple of other bits of information, but that's a good starting point, and at no cost to you. but it's worth thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of dollars in added money to you, meaning you don't have to come out of pocket to that. He will do it because we're having this conversation. Go there and set up your time to either schedule a time with us, a phone call, and or to get the opinion of value. Guys, this is Steve Burton at Scale to Sell headquarters. I'm based out of Virginia, but we got teammates all across the country. You're a Zoom call, a phone call away from growing your business, protecting your business, and if you're ready to exit your business, we'll make sure our team puts together and finds you the most profitable, highest multiple that we can find. Guys, I hope you got a little bit out of this. Check out the podcast and or the YouTube channel at the same name down there, scale2sell.com, scale2sell.com. Anyway, we look forward to talking to you in the not too distant future. God bless. Be safe. We'll talk to you soon.